All right, we should be ready to go in about 5 seconds. Thanks,
Great.
team.
Okay, well, let's get started then. Welcome to the closing ceremony. Very exciting, but also sad that it's almost over. But we've had a great weekend and we hope that you have too. So firstly, before we announce any results or anything, we should announce the results of the quiz from Friday night. So the winning team was Just a Plank. So well done, guys. The Julian will be contacting you for your prize. We had lots of participation in the quiz, so it was really great. You made Anthony's life more difficult before the marking. So, but you had great fun and looking at your responses. So thank you all for taking part in that. And now I'm just going to do a load of thank yous. So I apologize. I'll be as quick as I can, but there's a lot of people here that need to be thanked. And I'm sure you guys feel the same. So, firstly, I would like to thank my immediate committee. So, myself, Matt, Ali, Dan, and Joe. This started about a year ago, and Anthony came to us and said, "Hey, have you heard of this thing called Planks? Like, I did this competition. We need a committee. Kent's going to host it. You guys want to do it?" Yeah, sure, okay. And a year later, look at this. It's better than we could have ever imagined, even though it is online and not how we originally planned to do it. But so thank you guys. I couldn't have done it without you. None of this would have happened without these amazing people. So you four have been great. I also like to thank everyone else in our wider committee. Let me change the slide. Yeah, so Anthony, obviously, president of the committee, along with Ibs, Andrew, and Will, the original team that went to Planks and won. This all started with you guys, so well done, congratulations, and thank you so much. I'd also like to thank Julian and James from the IOP and IAPS. You guys have been incredible, very supportive, and you've made this a lot easier and so much fun. And I recommend anyone work with these guys and host your own preliminaries, definitely. Next thank yous go to Dr. Carr, Henry, James and Anthony again for organising the wonderful exam, making this competition, the main focus of what this weekend was about. They made an interesting exam for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll hear the results from that very soon. I'd then like to thank Professor Nigel Mason for all the support from himself, and the school. It's been great to get all the support from you and backing from the school to host this event. We couldn't have asked for any more support, especially with finding speakers and advice on how to run these things, as you are a seasoned professional. So that was great, and we thank you a lot for that. Again, a thank you to all of our speakers and anyone that was involved in any of the events that we ran. The weekend wouldn't have been half of great without you, so we appreciate everyone's participation. Thank you to any members of the public. You might not be here now, but having you guys join for one of the public talks was great, and we hope that you enjoyed. And then lastly, a big thank you to you guys, the participants. This weekend was for you, and we hope you enjoyed it. And it wouldn't have been half as good if we hadn't had all of you. So we had an amazing number of teams, much more than we ever expected, and we hope you enjoyed it most of all. So yeah, this well-oiled machine seems to run quite well. So good job, everyone. I'm so happy with how it went, and I hope everyone else is too. So I'm now going to hand over to Professor Mason, who's just going to say a few words from the University of Kent School of Physical Sciences. So, Nigel?
Thank you, Molly. And thank you, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed the weekend. Obviously, it's a great shame that we weren't able to do this face-to-face, etc. And it meant that the team have had to sort of adapt to an online version. But from what I've seen and from what I've been hearing, it sounds like it was a good 2.5 days. And you've all done very well. I can't go without saying again an enormous thank you to all the local students and so on who did this work. You've been brilliant. I said it on Friday, but it's just been reiterated throughout the days. You've taken it on and you've handled it admirably. So many, many congratulations to yourselves. I hope you will all put it in your CVs As a nice positive on that. Thank you for all the teams that participated. As Molly said, I think we were more than pleased with the number of teams that participated. And whether that was a consequence of being online, or whether you would all have come down to Canterbury, I hope you would have. And I hope that all of you who have taken part, it's not whether you win or not, it's the taking part that matters. And I hope everybody's got something out of it, and I hope it enthuses everybody to participate in the next year's competition, which I say ideally will be face to face. And just to continue the trend, I know that this was born out of Anthony and his team, who did it a couple of years ago and won it, who came along and pestered me for support and funds. But I think that they've taken it on brilliantly since and hosting this thing. And I, as a head of school, I would only just say to all other heads of school, and will do in the Institute of Physics Heads of School meeting when we have one, that they should be getting their departments to follow in this tradition. So I hope it's been a great weekend. I hope you all learned something from it. Yes, also thank you to all the speakers. All the talks I thought were very good. And I also, my colleagues last night who gave you a little bit of idea about being a scientist and being an academic. And I think the messages you got from that was that you do physics because of the inquiring mind, and you want to understand how the world works around you. And there's loads and loads of problems, both applied and almost philosophy, to do in the future. And all of you who have participated in this, I hope you all have, and I'm sure you will, very successful careers as physicists. And I hope this will always be a bit of a landmark in the fact that you've participated in this and encouraged you to think about being physicists and moving forward. And I wish you all the very best of luck in the future. And I do hope I will see some of you. If we are at a meeting and you're there and you see me or anything else, any of the other staff who have been taking part, walk up to us, introduce yourselves, because we didn't see you face to face. Say, oh yeah, I was in one of the PLANCKS team. We did it virtually online, but I really, when you see us eventually, do come and talk to us. But congratulations, everybody, for taking part. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm sure you have. And to say finally, once again, for the local guys, couldn't be more proud of you. You've done a superb job.
Thank you so much, Nigel. That means a lot. I'm now going to pass over to Anthony, James, and Dr. Carr, who is going to give you your exam statistics. So over to you guys.
Are we sharing? Is it working?
Is now.
Is now. Yep.
Okay, where's Dr. Carr gone? Oh.
Here.
Okay, good. So the exam, which was the longest stretching bit of any of the competition, there were some surprising results. There were as always, some surprising answers, some interesting answers, some fun answers. And as is now becoming tradition, we would like to do the second biggest game show, or panelist show of the competition, other than Are You Smarter Than Undergrad, which is Anthony and James present the exam summary, some basic statistics, interesting answers and results. I think next time we should have sparkly jackets and top hats or something like that. And today we have a special guest star, Sam, who's going to tell us actually how people should have answered the questions, which are much better than mine or even James's attempts at them. I think one of my favorite quotes to start off was please mark all our questions. And don't worry, we marked all 470 questions submitted yesterday. And I'll get to our fantastic markers and a bit later. So let's start off with question one. And I'll give you Sam to have a brief overview of the question.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Anthony. And actually, just before we get to question one, I wanted to say a couple of general things about the exam. So firstly, thank you everybody who took part, and well done everybody who took part. And I'd like to share with you a quote which I was told as a student, which has stuck with me all of these years. which is that there's two difficulties students have when they're doing maths or problem solving. One of them is not following a solution or a method that's going to go out until the end. And the other problem is following a method that won't work out for too long. And that's why maths and problem solving is difficult, okay? So the point is that you don't initially know how to do these problems. You're not aiming to learn how to do these problems. You're aiming to learn how to tackle problems which you don't initially know how to do. And that's the important skill and something which you should think about and develop. Anyway, just with that in mind, given that you were asking yesterday, I'm going to go quickly through the questions and say a little bit about what they were about and how you could try them at home if you wanted to. So the first question is a question about gravity. According to Anthony, I'm allowed to say questions are trivial now. I have that right. And basically, there's two particles. They're coming together via the force of gravity that was written. We don't, as a general rule, give out solutions, but I will tell you what you need to do, and you can try it at home. So there's two particles. You've got the force of gravity. To begin with, you need to work out the equation of motion of them. Just be careful that you get Newton's third law right, or the center of mass motion and things. That's the only little bit you've got to be careful of. And then you've got a differential equation. Again, you use standard methods and you solve it. You've got a slightly horrible integral and you can do it. As an alternative, you can say, actually, we've studied as undergrad how to solve the two-body problem in gravity, because that was Kepler's problems and what Newton did. And of course, this is a degenerate limit, but actually it is a very valid limit of Kepler's problems, and some people tackled it like that. The answer to the problem, by the way, is gravity in our universe. And it's something to think about, because typically if you take 2 kilogram masses on the table, they haven't come together a day later. So just think about what that means in terms of forces. It's a slightly surprising answer. Back to you, Anthony.
Okay, so some information about question one. Some of the interesting diagrams that we saw. So of course, people did approach it from two methods. There was the more traditional method, and then some people, as Sam said, did approach it using the two-body problem. The mean mark of this problem was 3.7. The median mark was 2.5, and the highest mark was 10. On the whole, this question, for those that attempted it, was answered very well. But there was, as with all what we're going to see throughout this, is there was quite a few people that when they didn't know how to solve a problem, they didn't submit anything, or they just gave us a blank piece of paper. And then of course that offsets all the statistics.
Yeah. It's always worth to at least attempt a question. You may get some, I'm not going to call them pity marks, but encouraging marks.
Yeah. I think
the first thing you should always do is draw a picture, and that's always worth a mark, or just to conceptualize the problem.
You know, someone wrote after they got to the stage of the integral that Sam mentioned, this integral ... as in, I'm guessing they're like, I can't do this. And then someone wrote that the answer of gravity is 42, but they failed to put the units in. So the answer could be 42. We just don't, if they put down the units, then yeah, that would be fine. Anyway, so on the whole, I think for those that attempted, this question was answered really well, and very pleased, even though the statistics say otherwise. Let's go on to question 2.
Yes, well, here's the fluid. Okay, so question 2 was two different parts of questions. The first part is actually much simpler than it looks. So the first thing to notice about the first part, it was asking about total integrated pressure on the bottom. Now, integrated pressure is actually just force. And the second thing, a very basic principle you should realize, is that a fluid exerts a force downwards, i.e. gravity goes down. And with these two simple things, you can actually solve it. So in the third glass, all of the liquid is above the bottom, therefore it's all acting on the bottom, therefore the volume should be the same as the second one to make the integrated force the same. In the first cup, however, not all of the liquid is above the bottom. The amount of liquid above the bottom should be the same as in the second one, so the height has to be the same. And then you have to do a small calculation to work out what the volume would be if you wanted full marks there. So with a little bit of thought, it's not difficult to get to the answer, but of course the point is thinking about the question in the right way is not easy. So again, well done for everyone who attempts it. And let me just reiterate, it's always worth making an attempt. Okay, the attempt may or may not lead to something, but you don't know that until you've started. So this is again an important skill. Manage to work out how to start something. May be crazy, may be wrong, but you'll know something for the next time you come across a problem. Okay, the second question, rolling down a table. Well, hopefully everybody could have marked answer to this if it was sliding down a frictionless surface. This is kind of an A-level question in that case. Rolling, well, of course, it goes slightly slower because some of the energy that would have become kinetic energy has to go into energy of rolling. And actually, energy is probably the easiest way to look at this question. Look at the kinetic energy and the energy of rolling, which is of course related to the moment of inertia. You can work out the angular frequency of rolling versus the speed on the principle that it's rolling without sliding. And you can then use this to get the acceleration. And what you'll eventually find is that in the case of the full can, it's about 2/3 what it would, well, exactly 2/3 what it would be sliding, whereas for the empty can, it's half what it would have been sliding. So go away, see if you can reproduce that.
Thanks. And there was on the whole, once again, for everyone that answered this question, it was answered pretty well. Most people did get some marks for attempting it. I think one of the interesting ones was I was called into a breakout room to ask, can you give me the equation of the moments of inertia? To which I replied, no, I haven't done mechanics in about 3 years, so, so I wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah, some interesting diagrams, and
yes, I love the first diagram on here. And you can tell it's a cone by the terrific handwriting saying so. But they got the answer right. So. Diagrams are always worth putting in. They make us struggle.
Yeah, and I think someone just wrote this at the end of 2B, ... which is, you know, I think what the marker was saying at the end of their question 2B. On the whole, it was answered quite well. Including everyone, it was about 4 was the average mark, but once again, someone did manage to get 10 out of it. Question 3, with another one of our fantastic diagrams added in there.
Yeah, okay, so question 3, the first part of it should have been relatively simple because you're given a wave function, you're given the formula for the current, which involves some derivatives, just in case you hadn't remembered it. And it asks you to substitute the wave function in the formula for current. So that's just algebra. But the key then is to write it in a nice way where you can understand the long expression you might get. Of course, it's simple. Everything is trivial. I'm allowed to say that. The second question, and the main point of this problem, is that if you then work out this current for the regime where it asks you, you discover that the current, it has something plus a cosine term, okay, so it oscillates, but it oscillates in the regime asked in the question between a positive and negative value. Now, why is negative current weird? It's because both momenta are positive, okay? And in classical mechanics, if you make something out of 2 momentum that are both positive, the current will also be positive because that's the direction it's going. In quantum mechanics, you get weird stuff. This is actually a phenomena called backflow, if you want to read about it elsewhere. And then the rest of the question was sort of discussing this. It's a well-discussed topic in physics, but still one of current research. And it's also one of these things where if you're working on it, you alternate between thinking, well, actually, it's not so weird, it makes sense, current isn't the same as momentum, quantum mechanics have interference, to going to, well, actually, that is just plain weird. Okay, and I still haven't worked out in my mind if it's something one should expect or just weird. But have fun with the question.
Yeah, we had an incredibly nice drawing that someone decided to add as a result, and one person wrote as the answer to part B of why is this odd, just because maths. I think the interesting one was when someone asked for a clarification as to what odd means, and then proceeded to write in their answer, "This is bizarre," rather than just saying this is odd again and expecting to get some marks. There were some interesting answers, and most people did achieve 4 marks from just doing the very simple partial differential and shoving them into the equation for current. It was the interpretation afterwards where people fell down on.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that I was kind of disappointed there was no bad drawings for this question. Maybe that's because it was a bit too maths focused. But I do love the ones we put on screen, which were added in as a additional material, not part of any questions by one team, which we'll mention again later, but they were good. The quantum duck quarks, hence the duck on screen.
Let's have dreaded question number 4.
The fun one.
Yeah, it's the fun one.
It's trivial.
You can keep wearing that.
Yeah, this was actually technically the most difficult question on the paper. All marks are equal, but some marks are more equal than others. It's our exam, we can do what we like. But basically what the question is asking is the first part is asking about a wire next to a mirror, so it's setting a 2-dimensional surface. This again is a fairly standard question in electromagnetism, so maybe first years haven't seen this in lectures before, it's coming for you next year, but basically the way to solve it is the method of image charges. There's one tip if you want to go and try and solve this question at home, is don't put the mirror at x equals 0, put it at x equals some constant. That will be quite useful for the next part. And the next part is using this extremely powerful technique called the conformal transformation. Everything you need to know about it is written here, but it's a whole topic of physics in itself, which you may or may not come across depending on options at your university. So basically the idea is that you then take your solution from the first part and do this transformation to work it out for the second part. Now for these questions, the transformation is quite simple. You work out try z squared, try square root of z, and one of these will work. Okay, so if you don't know what you're doing, try simple functions for this transformation, see how it works. But again, there's plenty of stuff on the web about conformal transformations and solving the Laplace equation like this. So you can read more about it when you get back and try it again. The maths is a bit horrible, but the technique is actually quite standard once you get used to it.
Yeah, this is a question I think if I was attempting, I'd have just written 7 and gotten on with it, or something utterly nonsense. They involve the things given. There were some very nice diagrams drawn. The mean mark was less than 1, and the median mark was 0 because most people decided not to submit an answer for this. But someone did manage to achieve 8 on it, which was very impressive, considering it was probably the hardest question on the exam.
No funny answers to this one.
No funny answers.
We needed quotes and couldn't find one.
Yeah, the only answers we received were either dead serious or none at all, and that's very disappointing. Please, in the future, add funny quotes. It might get you a mark for some reason whatsoever. We might decide.
Definitely, if the marks are close, you never know.
Yeah. Let's have question 5. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, question 5. People seemed not to like this one. However, if you've ever seen a derivation of Fermi-Dirac statistics and or Bose-Einstein statistics, then pretty much this was doing exactly the same thing. For Fermi-Dirac statistics, you have a sum about it having either 0 particles in the state or 1. For Bose-Einstein, you have a sum where you go from 0 to infinity. This question, you just sum over 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so look up the derivation or remind yourself, if you've seen it before, of how to derive the Fermi-Dirac and Bose-Einstein statistics. And actually, this question becomes quite trivial, given that I'm allowed to use the word now.
Yeah, so once again, this one it's got a low mean and medium mark. Well, it's got a medium mark of 0 because if people didn't attempt it, didn't write many things down for it at all. But those that did attempt it did do quite well, 7 there. My favorite quote was, "P.S. This is not the answer. We're just, I should say we're just stuck. LAMO. We just stick." That would have been even funny if they said we just stick.
Yeah. Which is always nice to know as a marker where you're going on. It's better than just trying to blag and just write some incomprehensive maths and hope we give you a point for it. Full well knowing it's not going to go anywhere.
And even if you couldn't have done the first part of it, talking about what would happen to statistics in the different limits of temperature, you could have written something there. You didn't have to do the mathematical one, and you could have still been awarded marks for it.
Yes, I mean, this for Planck's is very much, there's some conceptual marks as well. If you do postulate a good physics argument of why it should be, even if you can't do the maths, you are probably going to get marks for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not like an exam you get graded on in university. This is for fun. Let's try and physics. Yeah.
Woo, physics.
Yes.
Let's have some woo physics in the chat.
Woo, physics. Okay, the next question is about dreaded density of states, one of these topics that all undergraduates hate for no good reason, because it's trivial. I think that actually density of states, the way it's taught, the way you understand it, sometimes can lose not the meaning of it, but actually just how to do calculations with it. So the density of states and overall is easy in K-space, okay? And in K-space, it's kind of just every state in K-space has a density of 1 over 2 pi. And if you didn't get the 1 over 2 pi, or you assumed that was something else, we gave you marks for that as well. The density in K-space is constant. And then you just have to transform that to energy space. And that depends on the dimensions, and it depends on dE by dk. And once you get used to doing these transformations for different energy spectra, so you may well have only seen it for the free electron before, or of course, some of you may just not have done condensed matter yet, which makes it more difficult to see a question like this. But it is a major concept in physics that's you do need to know eventually. Read up just the definition of density of states. The solution is about 3 or 4 lines and involves 1 differentiation. And then the next 2 questions, the parts of it, again, just bear in mind the definition of density of states. The energy is going to be the integral of over energy times density of states. That's by definition. The number of particles is the integral of density of states. And you eventually get to the answer. There's a couple of integrals to do. It's a nice little question to play with these things. And actually the maths isn't as difficult as you think it is when you get on the right track.
Yeah, so I think compared to the others, at least more people had an attempt at this. This is why the mean mark was low, but people at least wrote down stuff. Or they just didn't submit it. I think we're in the section of questions 4, 5, 6, and 8 were the touch and go ones for people. Some very nice circles that we saw, and one team had the absolute cheek to copy something that I've written in the Planck's exam before, which is the solution is true when left as an exercise for the marker.
Yes.
Well done.
Anthony, I don't know how your team kept winning, because you wrote that in every exam, and I probably marked you down for it in every exam. You still kept winning.
So that was the Schrodinger's cat sitters. You didn't get a mark for that, but it did make us laugh.
Yes. Also, what made me laugh was the it's a Fermi circle, baby. Definitely worth pointing out.
One team did manage, a few teams I think did manage to get 10 out of 10 for this, so that was very good. Next question is 7 with this fantastic drawing on there.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, just a quick story about the word trivial. So I was brought up in a PhD student by the Russian school. My PhD supervisor was Russian, and I was asked to read Landau and Lifshitz and things. And I mean, there's a good stereotype of Russians, theoretical physicists, that they always refer to everything that's known as trivial. If it's already been done, it's trivial. My supervisor was a bit more used to the Western culture, so realized that not everything that was known was trivial. So he used to use trivial to refer to things he hadn't yet calculated. So if he said, this is a trivial calculation, that means I've never actually done it. But once you understand what the word means, of course, it's perfectly understandable. This question is basically finding the equation the top of the fluid will form. And there's all sorts of ways you can go about this by resolving force. You can worry about how it gets there. You can worry about fluid dynamics. But the simplest possible concept is that in equilibrium, the surface of the fluid is flat, okay? Flat as in it's an equal potential, okay? The force up and down is the same in every case. So what all you have to do is work out what the potential is in the rotating reference frame. So you basically need to work out what would be the potential due to centrifugal force. And the question is actually solvable again in 4 or 5 lines, but if you go in that way of thinking. There's also other much longer ways to solve it, perfectly fine. The whole point of doing questions like this and problems like this is to learn many different ways to tackle different problems. And this is, again, I think the key is there usually is not just one way to tackle the problem. There's usually going to be one way that ends up being quicker than other ways, but every way works the first time. And then when you know the answer, maybe you can find a better way later. So the answer will come out to be a parabola because all you need is centrifugal force, but go away, look at that, calculate the correct coefficients in front of it.
Yeah, so as Sam said, there's a few ways to do it, and I saw at least 3 different ways of doing it. There was a very long way that when I did it, which was resolving the forces acting upon it. Some people used Bernoulli's equation, and some used Lagrangian mechanics, which they're all very interesting. The highest mark on this was 9 because many people just didn't even state anything that they were doing in their question. Always give us a reference point as to what you're doing and please define what things are. This random force F that has come out of nowhere. It's important that you tell us that this is the force of the air acting on the surface, or is combined with the pull of the rest of the fluid. Or else F could mean literally anything, the influence of an electron on the other side of the universe acting upon it, you know.
Always helps the markers, and you want to make their life easier. Physics is a story, right? So help us and tell us it. So yeah.
Good one was, this probably needs an integral, but I didn't know.
Probably did.
Yeah. For those that did answer it, on the whole, it was answered really well, this one. And there was a good variety in the answers, so we're very impressed with this one. Question 8, the second dreaded question.
Yeah, this question is quite open-ended. So I think the key here is, how do you analyze an LC circuit, which you almost certainly knew once, you may well have forgotten and put in the back of your mind and hoped you never see them again. But ultimately, it's differential equations. You use Kirchhoff's laws, you get a differential equation, you get a single frequency out as the solution of this differential equation. And the question says, add another inductor and capacitor to the circuit. Well, if you do almost anything other than just adding them all completely in parallel, you're going to get something which has two currents flowing through different ways. You set up the laws, you'll get two coupled differential equations, and you want to find normal modes, so you'll get two frequencies. So in fact, there's many, many different possibilities to solve this. The maths is pretty much just solving a 2x2 matrix. It comes out quite horrible maths. Horrible as in doesn't look nice, doesn't simplify as much as you'd hope it would, but sometimes problems don't. There was nothing particularly difficult about it.
Yeah, so I think everyone, most answers that we did attempt it and attempt to draw a diagram rather than just leaving something blank. That's why the median mark is 1 for drawing some circuit. There were some interesting ones, but I think one of our favorite quotes of it was, most banging tunes have more than one frequency.
Hard to argue with that.
No, we can't argue with that.
I just love the confidence of one team, not sure to do the diagram. Maybe at the end of the sentence, but I like that all. And there was another team that drew it as a spring instead of a circuit diagram. And it was a good analogy, and they justified it very well. And they went on to draw one. But yeah, it's just bring that in and show us your reasoning. It helps us understand your logic and get it in. And like Sam said, there's more than one ways to answer a problem. So
I think the key here is you look at the problem, you don't have a clue what to do. So draw a circuit and see if you can analyze it. Okay, if you don't remember how to analyze a circuit at all, you're probably in trouble. And maybe you want to remind yourself how to do that for next year. But otherwise, just try something. It may or may not work. You don't know that at the beginning, but you can't possibly know until you've tried it.
Maybe, James, do you want to say about the next question?
I was rather hoping Sam would. I would like to get his interpretation.
Yeah, my interpretation of this question is it's fairly open-ended, and pretty much you just wanted to say anything intelligent about it. The first question, what's the lift? Mostly you just had to work out the volume of this shape, which means you need to make some approximations about it. You have a lot of information here, and anything reasonable went for us. Okay, you don't need to make exactly the same approximations as us. Probably approximating it as a sphere is a little too crude, given that this beautiful picture doesn't really look that much like a sphere, but some form of cylinder or caps or whatever way you do it, you can then work out what weights are and other forces on it to get lift. In terms of the other parts of the question, they're asking why was hydrogen used rather than helium? Well, ultimately, the people who designed this weren't stupid and they knew physics, and they knew that helium would be better. Okay, the problem is not the lift, and everybody knew the benefits of helium would work. The trouble is there just wasn't enough helium. They couldn't get it, and it was far too expensive if they did. So that you can look up some history about. In terms of how safe it is, again, there's many, many different answers you could think about that one. But one possible way of thinking of it is saying, well, suppose a bullet was fired at it. How long would it take to deflate and come down? And the answer is actually quite a long time from a bullet hole. So it was relatively safe from normal bullets. Read the history about it if you want to see where the question goes. But this is one of these perfect ways where you read the question. Again, you don't have a clue what to do, but think of things, be creative, and enjoy being a physicist and saying, well, actually, let's see what happens if we did this.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I think no one answered this question the same way I did. And yeah, like I said, the maths was fairly straightforward, and it's all about doing the volume of the thing. And then the rest, it's encouraging you to think and give scientific answers to interesting questions. I think there was only one team that actually used Bernoulli's equation to answer one of the parts, despite the fact that it's in the question name as a hint. But that didn't matter because you came up with brilliant ideas to come up with other solutions for it all, which were just equally as valid.
I know Sam said approximating as a sphere was a bad idea, but someone said assume the balloon is cubed, which was
actually two teams who did that. It's like, maybe that's a bit too much.
Basically, it's a giant elephant in the air was also quite a Marcus. Well, I almost broke out into song in the marking with singing Dumbo. But let's have our final question. This one here. Sam, do you want to just...
Okay, so this is again a very, very standard question in physics, which if you haven't seen yet in your degrees, you may well come across in a final year Stat Mech course. It's known as a random walk, in case you want to look up more about it when you get home. And I think perhaps the most interesting thing about this question is the conceptual idea of saying, well, we're asking what's the probability he'll some point make it 10 steps up? Because you may think, well, if he continues forever, which he does, he'll always get there sometime. But actually, if it's biased to go down, he might not. He might never get there. And there's many ways to do this. I think most people try to say, well, how do you get, let's say, one step up? Well, you can either go directly one step up, or you can go one step down, then two steps up, or you can go two steps down, then three steps up, where there's more than one combination, and you try to work out the combinatorics. You then get a series which is possible to some, but really horrible, okay? You'll need some advanced maths techniques in order to do it directly like that. The standard textbooks things, if you do this in an advanced Stat Mech course, will give you solutions in terms of summing series like this with generating functions, which are, again, extremely powerful technique, but I wouldn't expect you to see this. But again, like many of the other questions, there's a three-line solution to this. And that depends on working out two things. Firstly, that the probability of getting 10 steps up is the probability of getting one step up to the power 10, okay? Because it's a Markov process. He has to get one step up 10 times to get 10 steps up. Therefore, that must be the probability. The second thing is the probability to get one step up is the probability to go directly plus the probability to go down, and they get two steps up, which you know can be related to the probability one step up by squaring it. Okay, and that gives you a quadratic equation to solve. And I managed to pick quite nice numbers so that the probability of going one step up comes out as 2/3. So therefore, probability of going 10 steps up comes out as 2/3 to the power 10. So again, go think about this, try it. There are many methods to get to the solution, including this extremely quick one, or very, very standard methods, but that are perhaps more advanced than some of you have seen yet. But fun to come with it.
Muted, Anthony. You're muted.
Anthony,
He realizes. Anthony,
you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted, right?
Yes.
I don't know how that drawing on the bottom bit of the slide got on there.
I snuck it in when you weren't looking.
So rather than having the fantastic drawing that you saw on the other page, that was the original drawing which I made for the exam. I think one of my favorite quotes of this is rejecting all unphysical scenarios of Newton walking up and down stairs, which is an interesting way of phrasing it. On the whole, I think it was answered well. There was a lot of different methods that people came up with, and our marker did go into them in quite a bit of detail and went through them. So yeah, I think it was a
Media marker 4 is quite good. Yeah.
Right. Let's just talk about overall for the exam. So if we take into account overall, which is the people who decided I'm not going to submit a problem, even when if you just submit a problem and write down some basic assumptions or something like that, please, 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 always in every exam, put it down. I think I went round into every breakout room. I met every single team, and I said to you, you can just BS it in the end. Like being, if you are really stuck, put down something that you think is related to it. It might help along. It might give the marker something of your viewpoint. Or if you can't finish a problem, say, I know one of the teams for the first problem put, we cannot do this integration. So we're going to say the integration comes out as this value R. They continue with the problem. They received all marks bar the integration. So they received the final answer mark. They just didn't receive the marks for doing the integration method. Yeah. So, if you can't do something, just put some information down. I think a better viewpoint is on the next slide, isn't it, James?
Yes. When we take out the average, where everyone who didn't submit something obviously scored 0, if we take them out, get much better distribution of results than what we've shown on the previous slide. I mean, the average mark was for everyone was still about 30, just under. Which,
and that's including
for a PLANCKS exam, isn't actually that bad. Quite famously, usually these exams, no one gets more than 50%. We did get that for quite a few teams actually for this one. An average mark is pretty good for everyone.
And the highest mark was incredibly impressive this time around. Just to mention a few of our favorite answers. James, I forgot to say for question 9, the benefits of using helium over hydrogen is that it makes your voice go very squeaky, and in brackets, this is cool. And another one is a vacuum airship is not viable because the crew needs to breathe oxygen. But I think that the participants didn't realize that maybe the vacuum doesn't extend to the cockpit where they drive the airship.
No, but you do have to take the oxygen.
I think
it was good thinking.
The favorite answer that we found just this morning was the answer for question 10 was all they wrote was the answer equals Anthony. Yes. And Emma, who marked it just when I asked her about this, said, yeah, 0 for cheekiness. There was no physics content in any of the wording of that answer.
Yes, I think she was just trying to save your ego.
Yeah. So that brings us to the winners. Before we do, so Molly, do you want to bring Professor Mason up here? Before we actually announce the winners, I'd just like to say for the winners for places 1, 2, and 3. Remember, first place will receive £1,000 and will go off to represent the UK and Ireland at the Porto finals. Second place will receive £500, and third place will receive £250. And teams 1, 2, and 3, please, please, please stay at the end once everyone has left. We want to do some photos and we need to get some details from you. Okay, so let's have the top 25 scores. I've got an entire spreadsheet. I've got an entire LaTeX table that I will paste afterwards. But these are the top 25. So as you can see there, and the entire list of all 47 teams, which is, I'm going to say this again, is the biggest preliminary ever for PLANCKS. And we might even beat the finals. They might not get all 50 teams that they want, so we might be the biggest PLANCKS event ever. They will be published on the website later. So well done to all our participants. It was, for some people they struggled, for others they didn't. I think overall, I'm very pleased with it because speaking to all of you in the teams, what I noticed was there was an awful lot of first years here. And of course, if you've only done one term of physics, you might not have seen every concept. You might not have that problem solving necessary, but I hope you all enjoyed yourself and you'll come back next year. We've got a new generations of plankers coming in. I hope the audio didn't break up there, but we've got this whole new generation coming in, kick me out. Yeah, I'll go away. And all of you can spend the next 3 years coming back to PLANCKS and just getting progressively better and winning the finals. So let's have third place. In third place, with a score of 62.5, was Corpus Christi from Cambridge. So very well done to them. And please do stay at the end. Molly, would you like to?
Yes, so moving on to second place. Drum roll, please, Anthony. Second slide. Dark Fermi Gang, also from Cambridge, with 75.5 points. Well done, guys.
Very well done. Loved all the fantastic answers that you submitted in with the black and the white. That was really nice. That was made marking very nice and easy. And in first place, Professor, are you unmuted?
Well, congratulations to the fence team at Oxford, the fencers, who scored an amazing 78.
Well done, guys.
So you are the winners of the heat and will be going to Portugal.
Yeah, well, virtually.
Virtually.
Yeah, really well done to all the teams there.
Amazing scores.
Yeah. Right. This stuff doesn't happen by magic. And I think, James, did you want to say something about this excellent drawing that we had here? I'd like to say thank you to all our markers, our question writers, and our illustrators, Dr. Carr, Charlotte, Emma, Caris, Ibs, Dr. Mountjoy, Dr. Quintanilla, Henry, Professor Strange, James, Dr. Kellner, so Nella, sorry, I should probably say, William, Andrew, Holly, Dr. Muller, apparently I'm on this list, Emily, Holly, and Tim, who all helped yesterday and for many, many months before to put this exam together and make it very excellent. The fantastic drawing from the quantum quark ducks. And I think on the next page, they wrote us this very nice thing, which was, thank you for 3 years of amazing Planks competitions. Once again, I know members of that team had been there doing Planks for as long as I have, and it's been very nice spending all this time with them. So thank you all of you for participating. And I think there's only one, we've got to hand over to Julian now. So just to give you order, we're going to hand over to Julian, and then we're going to have, as I said at the opening ceremony, we're going to have one more attempt at a group photo. So everyone will have to stay smiling for ages while I push all the buttons again to get the print screen, okay? So I'm going to stop sharing and just hand over to Julian.
Thanks. Excuse me. Thank you, team. I just wanted to thank and congratulate the winners. But before I do, I think it's very worth pointing out, you know, on behalf of the Institute of Physics, a huge thank you to Professor Mason for agreeing to support this event, Planks 2021 at Kent this year. A fantastic university to host the competition, but obviously not in person, but it doesn't matter because Kent's support has been hugely appreciated. Thank you also to Dr. Carr for his support for the committee as well, really consistently. So I'd like to also say a few thank yous to James, Nella, and IAPS, the International Association of Physics Students, and I invite all participants to take note of and try and get involved in some of their activities. They're a wonderful network of alumni and current students around the world. Fantastic resource. Thank you to our organising committee for orchestrating this brilliant competition, which keeps growing bigger and bigger this year. Like Anthony said, it's amazing. When I joined, it was in the 15 to 20 a year, and even that was big. So Molly, Anthony, and our chairs, the markers, the volunteers, for making all, you know, a very special bedroom edition of Planks. Congratulations to winning teams. It's extraordinary. Planks is not an easy competition, and it is about having fun. But that it was amazing to see and hilarious, most of those comments. But it's something I think worth extending to everyone else for attending and competing, for making it this far, to getting here. To all the participants, no matter really what the results were, actually, like Professor Mason is, taking part is so essential. So thank you all. And yes, like I said, congratulations to the winners. Before we close the conference, I just wanted to signpost you to some things that are like Planks coming up and invite you to get involved or potentially volunteer next year. So I'm just going to share a little slide. Promise it's the last one. Here are some of the things for students, and remember, these are all put together by students, and you can get involved in supporting that too, if you want to build skills and have fun, meet some other people. We would love to see you at Planks next year. Please do register and tell your friends to register as well. We want to keep this competition growing bigger and bigger. And we really want to see a team from this year taking the plunge and hosting next year. And we'll try and make that process as easy as possible. And there's a lot of support that the committee currently can hand over to you that's been building year on year. So just ask the question, never hurts to ask for information. One thing to point out in yellow, our CAPS conference, which part of you can see the presentation, correct? Thumbs up, awesome. It's going to be over 2 days, hosted by Birmingham University this time, free for students. It's going to have so much content in it, so many talks, panels, games, sessions. You're really not going to want to miss out, trust me, it's going to be fantastic. And these are some other things in the headlights. Please do, would love to see you at some of those as well. Loads coming up. And like I said, all your kind of work actually by students for students, like the motto of IAPS. So thank you once again to our team for taking part. It's been so inspiring to work with this group and to see so many of you joining this competition, despite the obstacles we've faced this year. You know, I'm amazed by the resilience of students throughout this pandemic, really, to take part, to get involved, to keep furthering and sharing our passion for physics is absolutely to our credit, and it's admirable. So please keep doing it, keep supporting things like this and each other as we continue through the year. Finally, hope to see some other IAP stuff. We've got a big campaign to promote greater diversity in physics, lots of things and advocacy that you can get involved in. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Well done. Congratulations, everyone. It was such a joy to participate in this year, and looking forward to next year.
Okay, team photo time. I hope everyone's got their shirts on. I hope everyone's done their smiling practices and is ready. If you would like to participate, come on, turn on your cameras now. Come on, let's go. We can do this. Well done, everyone. Whoa. Pump up that energy with like 4 hours of sleep. Not even that. Is everyone ready? If you don't want to be in the photo, just keep your camera off. Okay, I'll give you 10 seconds. Webcam is broken. Okay, well, you can send us a picture maybe, and we might be able to superimpose it onto your thing. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. Maybe. Someone smarter than me and more graphically inclined. You cannot start video because it's been disabled. Oh, hang on. I can fix. Julian can fix that actually. If you find that person in the participants list, more. There you go. You should be able to do it now. Hang on. Oh no. C-R-I. Oscar. There. Any more? Oscar?
Olivia, Oliver.
Oscar can do it. Anyone else? Dr. Carr, you need to keep the doggo for the photo. Okay, is everyone ready? Anyone else? Anyone else need help? Okay, ready. Smiling in 3, 2, wait, which is, yeah, that one. 1. Keep smiling. Hang on, I have to dismiss this pop-up or else it will. Right, keep smiling, keep smiling, keep smiling. Keep smiling. We're almost done. We're about halfway there. Oh, that's my hot bar. Keep smiling. We're 3 out of 4 or 5. We're almost done. I like the smiley faces. We're done.
Well done.
Okay, so there is one last thing to say. Congratulations to everyone. So you can keep your videos on. Please can the winners stay behind at the end? And if you did have any questions you wanted to ask us, please do stay at the end. There will be one little surprise as everyone else starts to leave that Matt's going to do. But I'd just like to say from myself, this all started about over a year and a half ago when James asked me a question. When can we access? I'll tell you that in a second. When James asked me under a bridge in Copenhagen, not Copenhagen, Odense, if we do it, and I said yes. I came back and Dr. Carr said yes. Professor Mason said yes. And then 1 year and 2 days ago, our fantastic people, Ali, Dan, Joe, Matt, and Molly all said yes. And it comes to what we are here today. And I'd just like to say, none of this would be possible without Ali, Dan, Joe, Matt, and Molly. I said them in alphabetical order, especially Molly. Absolutely fantastic, Molly. Can everyone unmute and give everyone there a round of applause? I know it would sound absolutely horrific in the recording, but let's just do it anyway. Fantastic. I'd like to thank Dr. Carr, Professor Mason, James, and Julian, all of them to support. There were so many other people that supported us at Kent with our marketing team, outreach, Kelly from the IOP. So a huge thank you to all of them. And I think even special thank you to everyone here and to my fellow teammates from when I participated in Planks, all of Snell's 3, Andrew Gowers, William Buffett, and Ibrahim Mirza, without whom none of this would be possible, as we just did this all on a whim, saying like, oh, it'd be a good laugh. And then it's ended up with this. So great fun. And hopefully that can be the same for one of you guys or all of you guys some point. Do try and put on a thing for your final for your competition for yourself. Talk to the IOP, get involved. Please, please, please do so. I'm going to stop rambling now. I've had very little sleep, and so I'm probably going a bit delusional. But a massive thank you again to all of our committee and all of you. And Matt, let's play us out with the best panel show ever.
Thanks, Anthony.
If you like.
Hope you can all hear it.
Go on, Matt.
Are you smarter than undergrads? Do you remember what you taught? Professor, now we're back in undergrad. Are you smarter than you used to be? Are you smarter than undergrad? How many facts can your memory hold? Teacher, teacher, now it's time for class. And do you think you've got the brains to pass?
Okay. I'll keep
It's
waving.
just going to keep going. It's set to loop forever.
Are you smarter than undergrad? Do you remember what you taught? Professor, now we're back in undergrad. Are you smarter than you used to be? Are you smarter than undergrad? How many facts can your memory hold? Teacher, teacher, now it's time for class. And do you think you've got the brains to pass?
We've published on the website. I'll put it in the Discord as well, and you'll all be emailed as well in about a week's time.
Are you smarter than undergrad? Do you remember what you taught? Professor, now we're back in undergrad. Are you smarter than you used to be? Are you smarter than undergrad? How many facts can your memory hold? Teacher, teacher, now it's time for class. And do you think you've got the brains to pass?
I think we'll call it on the end of this one. And if anyone's remaining, I presume you either have questions or you're here for the winners. If you have a question, please do ask. If you're the winners, please stay behind a bit more until everyone else has left. Yeah. The Discord link. Yeah, I can get that for you. Invite. Copy. Yeah, do stay in touch over the Discord. You're all registered on the IAPS Minecraft server as well, so they do events. So please join their Discord and get involved with them as well. Anyone else? I don't think that there was this many winners, but I could be wrong. If you have a question, do ask it now, please. You can unmute yourselves.
Do you have the bow tie with you?
I have many bow ties with me.
Second question,
You wear
can we
more
see
than
them?
I
one.
can vouch for his bow tie collection.
And don't encourage him.
I have this bow tie.
You will be here for hours more
I have
now.
a fake bow tie.
I have no complaints.
I have another bow tie.
Just
Have a
ask to see the bee costume.
The bee costume's in the other room. I have another bow tie in here. Here we go.
Nigel, you're muted if you are saying.
I was stuck in having to go up to London for an evening dinner jacket, and I didn't have my bow tie because it was back at the family home. So I knew who to go to. Anthony gave me a collection so I could go to the dinner suitably dressed.
Periodic table bow tie.
Yeah, you got a lot, big collection.
Is this everyone left?
Who's with which team? Maybe just, I don't know how we can differentiate this. Anthony?
Rename yourselves to have your teams, please.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest way. Or what place you came. Yeah, fabulous. Apologize for the loud noise in the background.
Yeah, I'm just going to make the breakout room for so what we'll do is we'll talk to all the winners now about what details we need, and then one group at a time we'll go into the breakout rooms to take the winning photo with our various representatives for first, second, and third place. I think that's everyone here. Right. Details that we've read. Well, we've actually got all the details really. James, did you want to say anything about this? And Julian, did you want to say anything about this regarding? No. Okay. We will contact you directly with all the information that we have regarding your prizes and with regarding Porto and what's happening with that. And then they'll just take over, and it's very straightforward. Okay. Right. Who was in third place?
Woo! Corpus!
Oh, Corpus. Okay, right. See.
Thank you, Calvin. Very cool.
2, 3, 4. Okay, I've got you 4 in there, and let's have Molly.
Worth saying good luck to all of you at the Porto finals. This year's international winner was the UK and Ireland, the team from Cambridge. So we can make it 2 in a row.
Yeah. And if you do want to just join in with the events and the lectures, etc., it is open for everyone.
Let's have Nigel as well. Okay, we'll just go. So team 3, we're going to go in. We're going to take the photo. Then we're going to come out for team 2. Then we're going to go out for team 1, and then you can go home or stay where you are. You can take off your chairs. Take off your chairs.
Take off your chairs.
Take off your chairs. I'm going with it. So if you guys go into the breakout room and the rest of you stay here, the rest of the committee will be here as well to just keep you company. Julian, if you want to come over into this one as well.
Fucking Oxford. Congratulations, though.
Well done, everyone.
You all have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very interesting questions, and but by God, do I never want to do a conformal mapping or any kind of complex transformation again.
Yeah, about that.
Had any of you competed in planks before?
No.
Ah, well, that's great. You came in and stormed it straight away.
Yeah. Where are you guys located? You're all back home at uni? Where's everyone?
I think we're all predominantly down here in Canterbury at the moment. I think everyone's in our student accommodation at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I know, I mean, currently in Cambridge, at least, I get the feeling something like 60-70% of people are at home at the moment. But that's maybe, I don't know, maybe that's different accommodation structure or different timeline of terms or whatever that made that happen. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Mm-hmm.
Are any of you in our Discord server or on the Minecraft server? No? Okay.
I would recommend it. It's been a fun place, and I assume it will still get some use afterwards.
I don't know if the Minecraft servers will be staying up though.
Probably not the Minecraft server, but definitely the Discord server.
We're left with the winners.
It's what it's like to feel like a winner. I don't think I've ever felt like this before.
Sorry, what did you say?
We're just saying we're left with the winners, and I was making a slightly self-deprecating joke.
Oh. The high school. You did a great job organizing anyways.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that we had such a great turnout. Did you guys all enjoy it? I mean, I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you're not.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it was really fun.
it would be better if we weren't at home, but you know, that's life.
I haven't had time to clean up, so I still have all of the papers just around me. It's like piles of papers with solutions.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the Portugal exam goes. Now you've got 24 hours.
Yeah, it was 36, was it?
Oh, 36, yeah. No,
many
no eating, no sleeping, just physics.
Okay. Oh, okay. Great. Cool.
Is it the dream? Is it the nightmare? You have to decide. It's some vision. It's like that Vietnamese, like a Vietnamese allegory where they talk about like heaven and hell are exactly the same thing. It's a table with all of the family members and friends, and one table is incredibly happy and one is incredibly starved and sadness because they've got the same stuff, but one table's like feeding everybody else. They've got these giant chopsticks to feed each other, and like hell is where you're so selfish, you try to feed yourself, and like heaven is where you learn to cooperate. It's a bit like that with physics. It's the same thing. For you, it's ideal. For other people, 24 hours of physics might be.
I'm sure it will oscillate for us as well.
Yeah, it's not always.
Okay, we gotta go talk to Anthony, I think.
We're being summoned.
Good luck. Enjoy yourselves. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're joining now.
I thought that was going to be super awkward. I was just there like,
yeah.
First time I've had to talk all weekend.
Oh, God. Dr. Carr saying those questions are trivial gave me a literal anxiety attack. I was just like, I had to turn my camera off because I was like, fucking hell, if I hear Dr. Carr say this problem is trivial one more time, I swear to God.
He's allowed to do that now. He can say these things.
He can. He can finally say what he's thinking. It's just not very nice for the rest of us. How are you guys doing? You all right?
Tired.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get up this morning.
No. I showered as well. It was incredible. I don't know how I managed it. Got to do all of my project work now.
Yeah, same.
Mm.
I've got a meeting. It's. I don't know if anybody else had this, but I've like really slowed down this year with like the amount of work I just haven't done.
No, I completely agree. I found it so difficult to focus and like get my head in the game.
Yeah.
No motivation at all.
Yeah. Exactly. And like, I just find that I can't remember. I cannot remember any of it. Like for the you guys were spared Quintanea's module, weren't you? For quantum stuff. Holy fuck. Whoa. Yeah. People on the acid course made the right choice with that.
That's how I feel about what's the one we had last term?
Oh,
who was it with?
Particles.
Yeah.
Oh, with Muller.
Not yeah. I mean the particle part, fine, but the like theoretical. What the fuck?
What was Strange?
Yeah, with Strange and Muller, both of them are just.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're still live on YouTube. Does someone wanna?
Well, we live on YouTube.
Oh no.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,